I am so thankful to be here on this beautiful Monday. I'm excited. I'm in Orange County here, California, and it is getting cold, but today it is absolutely beautiful, so I'm stoked about that. So, guys, what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about something that's very important, which I think a lot of people on this call struggle with. I myself struggle with it, and this is one of my strong points, which is how can one be more proactive instead of reactive? See, we tend to go throughout our days where we react to certain circumstances in our life, which then bring us down, prevent us from doing the things that we need to do to be successful, specifically in our businesses with BioRains. And this is true for life, personally, and with business. We do this thing where something happens and all of a sudden we are reacting to that situation. So I'm going to go through a very simple, easy step-by-step process so that you guys can be more proactive instead of reactive. This is exactly what I do. This is how I get myself on course, and this is how I get my life organized throughout the week and in each day. Okay, so I'm going to make it really simple. We're going to game plan. We're going to talk about discipline. And then at the very end, we're going to talk about evaluation. These are the three things that I utilize to be more proactive instead of reactive. Okay, let's go to number one. So game plan, what does that look like to game plan? Game planning is very important. Now, if you do not have a daily planner, a weekly planner, a monthly planner, a quarterly planner, a yearly planner, then you're not doing what you should to be more proactive. What that looks like as a tablet, a cellular device, or something that is actually physical. A lot of people like to go old school like that. I as well like to go old school. I actually do a little bit of half and half, but it is very, very, very important for you to have some sort of planner. I know half my clients have something they actually like to write on, and then some people actually like to use their phone. So guys, number one, you need a planner. If you do not have a planner where you have your week lined up, specifically what you're going to be doing, then you're already not doing what you should be doing. Okay, so this is what it looks like for me. I'll work through my system, and then you can kind of say, okay, I want to do something like that, or I want to cork it, and I want to change it, and I want to make it different. Because in reality, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, guys. All we have to do is look at successful people and what they do and say, that's what I want to do. I'm going to follow that, but I'm going to put my special flavor on there, what makes sense to me in my life. So specifically what I do, as I plan out my week, I plan specific tasks for specific days. Now I know there's two schools of thought on this. Some people say, hey, I'm going to invest 10 hours a week into this business of BioRains, so they'll concentrate it on one day. Now, I don't have the time to concentrate the 7 to 8 hours a week that I put in a business in one day, so I break it down throughout the day in my planner. So this is what I do. Mondays, I reach out to warm prospects. I spend no more than a half an hour, and these are individuals that I've already spoken to, and I say, hey, how you doing? What are your thoughts? Where are you at? Is it still a maybe? Is it now a yes? Is it a no? I'm just looking for an answer. Sometimes I sense with these people, I take a week off and I say, you know what, this person needs a break. I'm sensing they're feeling like there's some sort of pressure and I don't want people to feel that. So then I miss that week. Okay, that's what I do typically on Mondays, no later than Wednesdays, but I'd say typically on Mondays. On Wednesdays, I actively reach out to my distributors, you guys, the team, and I encourage. It has nothing to do with the business. It's just to encourage. Now, this depends on the distributor, what they're going through in their life and in their businesses. And I might reach out just to uplift. That's it, just to uplift and encourage. And I actually have that in my planner for Wednesdays. Fridays, I actively market. What is the lifeblood of any business? It's marketing. If you do not market, then you're not going to get business. That is one of the most important things with any business. So on Fridays, I will actively reach out to my market and I'll see if there's any interest. And this is currently what I'm doing. It changes as months go on. I'm already 11 weeks into the business, but what I do is I reach out to my personal network, and I have about 1,100 contacts. I've reached out to about 150 thus far, and on Fridays I spend about an hour to no more than 2 hours, and I reach out to my market and I say, hey, via text message, are you interested in this opportunity? I'd love to take 15 minutes of your time. And honestly, if I'm reaching out to 15 to 20 people on the average Friday, I'm probably getting a response about half the time, and that other half the time doesn't always lead to an appointment the next week. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I utilize Fridays to book my appointments for the next week. Okay, so that's really important, guys, because if you are not marketing your business, at the end of the day, you will have no business. It is very, very, very important to market your business. Now, not everyone is going to be going through their personal network. It might not look the same for you. So you might actually be utilizing social media. You might be utilizing these team calls. You might be utilizing trade events. You might be utilizing house parties. You might be utilizing going door to door to retail businesses and speaking to the owners about the opportunity of BioRains. Now, there's so many different ways this can look for you, but what's important is that you game plan and you put it in your calendar. What does it look like to be proactive? It looks that you're getting in your planner and you are mapping out each and every single day. If you are not mapping out your days, then you are not going to be effective. So those are 3 items that I have in my week every single week. Along with, in the team business strategy, what else do we have there? We have coaching calls with each distributor. I have these coaching calls that last anywhere between 10 to, I'd say, max 30 minutes. Now, it's a point every single week that I can check in with each distributor and make sure that they're doing what they should be doing. That is, from what they told me from the previous week, that they're staying on task. Or just maybe trying to encourage, or just maybe trying to touch base. But it is very, very important that at the end of the day, you are reaching out to your team, whether you have 1 or you have 20. And I think once that someone is solidified and they are grounded and they know what they're doing, for instance, Brooke and Ryan Lorge signed me up, me and my wife up. Am I grounded? Yeah, I'm really grounded. Probably not necessary for me to have these weekly coaching calls. But in the beginning, it's very important to get your distributors on these weekly coaching calls, okay? So I just gave you an overview of what it looks like to game plan. That is specifically having a planner, whether it's a digital planner or a physical planner. This is so, so, so important. If you are not planning your weeks out, then you probably are most likely not being proactive. You're most likely being reactive. Okay, now once your week is planned out, what happens next? You have to stay disciplined. You have to stay on task. If you are not staying on task, then most likely you are not being proactive. You're not being diligent, right? There are days you're just not going to feel like doing it, but it is so important to push through on those days. Give your best max effort. Might not look like your best days, but at least you're doing it. And at least you're pushing through and you're moving forward. And at the end of the day, I guarantee the person who pushes through is the person in 3 months, in 6 months, in a year, is going to have some sort of business where it's an actual business, because that person is disciplined. That person has had rough days. That person has failed a lot, but what happens is they keep pushing through. And if you keep pushing through, I am telling you, you're gonna get there. And if you find yourself struggling with this one and you're not maintaining that discipline, what do you think the solution is? Most likely, you have forgotten your why, or you don't have a big enough why. So what's behind discipline is having a big enough why, something that you can truly focus on, something that you can truly know, this is why I'm doing this business of BioRains. It's to help people, or it's to help my family, or it's to bring another source of income to my family. If your why is big enough, most likely, it's going to be a lot easier to maintain that discipline, guys, okay? At the very end, we game plan, we stay disciplined, and this is something that is not concrete. There's no plan that is concrete. It's more or less like a roadmap. So what we constantly have to do is evaluate. So at the end of every week, personally I do it on Sundays, I think it's best to do it on a Saturday or Sunday, is to evaluate your past week and say, this is where I was successful and this is where I failed. It is so important to evaluate your week, to look at all the good. That's great. It's good to feel good, but it's more important to feel bad and go, whoa, I could have done better there. I need to educate myself more on the product or the business. I was too reactive this week. I was not very proactive. That's why it's important to evaluate your week, okay? And then at the end of the week, once you've evaluated, you then look at your new week and you say, I'm going to make sure this week is better than last week. So now that you've evaluated, you can make those little changes that you need to in order to be successful, okay? I wanna make these calls really simple, guys. This is very simple. How do we be more proactive? We game plan, we stay disciplined, and then we evaluate. We game plan with a planner, whether it's physical or digital. We stay disciplined, make sure your why is big enough, and then you evaluate your past week, and then you change it to make sure your new week is more efficient and better. Okay, so it's important to do all three of these things, guys. If we're doing all three of these things, then we're going to be effective. Guys, if you missed the call, then please, next week, be a part of the call. It's Mondays, PST, at 12 p.m. every single week. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I love to help each and every single one of you independently. I love you guys. Have a blessed day.